All right, thank you guys for being here today. Okay, I don't know what happened, but I'm just going to tell you a little story because you can't see it. On my LinkedIn, I published that, we were having a topic on monetizing, doing customer discovery, monetizing your game studio. I'm giving you like real links to money, things that you can monetize and help launch your company. It said there's supposed to be 130 people here. I was a little stressed. I don't see 130, so they must be coming in other ways, is what I'm thinking. This was shared by 20 people on LinkedIn, this post, my post that I put out. And then everybody that is a speaker or doing a game demo, theirs got shared a whole lot more. Somebody from New York called me and said she wants to talk with me about helping this particular event and bring it into her event that she has, which is Omni City. This was unbelievable. And then everybody was asking, would you live stream it? So we are live streaming on YouTube. We have microphones. So if you're going to ask questions of anybody, I'm going to ask you to go to one of the, this is going to be where the speaker will be, is up here. And this is going to be to ensure we have really good audio on our YouTube channel. Or go to that microphone. And you don't be passive and sit in the back here and ask a question. You got to literally walk up here. Because that's the only way I can get it to work for YouTube. Okay, so I have handouts. I have 2 sets of handouts for you guys. And those are money, so keep them. And I will post on my LinkedIn, because you have to be on LinkedIn for me, or in Discord, the links, so you can click on the links. That way you are not touching the paper and it's not going anywhere. I understand it's not clickable paper. But that way you'll have the links. You might need to remind me. And then Kira, who is assisting me, she's in the back getting the rest of the documents because there's a second document for you too. And then lastly, I haven't started my talk, but I'm contracted with UCF I-Corps. Does anybody know what that is? Stanley, you do. Tell me, what is I-Corps? It is not. It is not the incubator program. UCF offers, and it's one of the schools in the country that offers the National Science Foundation's program called I-Corps. I-Corps is, and we are the only one that does this, provides 5-week boot camp to learn how to do customer discovery. And at the end of that customer discovery, you do 50 interviews to identify who is your product, who is your customer, product market fit, and how much would they pay for what you're creating. Our cohort starts this week, and it's for cybersecurity AI. The next one is medical AI, and then the last one is defense AI. And each one of those, if you have a game that you want to take to market that's for one of those industries, you'll learn how to take it to market and get a $3,000 grant to help you. And it's funded by the National Science Foundation. It's kind of a big deal because it helps you to get into other opportunities like small business innovation research, some other things. So when I said that I'm coming with opportunities for money, if any of my game development community, simulation, XR, if any of you can want to come and apply and be able to build a game, make sure you're going to learn how to build it so that you can make money. It is 5 weeks, and it is really a lot of work. And it will be the best thing you'll have ever done because you'll be building from here on out so that you always make money. Whether it's from the government, I also have links in the handout that I gave you that will show you where, and I'm going to do it live here too, where you can find money on LinkedIn. Because I have built a list of 50 organizations that I can apply for my game studio to be able to get funding, seed funding. And I have also found other links that will help you for industries. So that's what I'm going to talk about. Okay, so I think we're ready. I'm going to go ahead and jump in here. Just testing. Kira, can you hear me? Are we almost finished with copies? Is that a yes or no? Thumbs up? Yes? Thumbs down? She's still getting the copy. Okay. Then I'm going to go ahead and kick us off. So typically I have an agenda, and I'm going to throw myself under the bus. I do not have the agenda up here because this is the one thing I didn't finish doing. I didn't get everybody's pictures on that one slide, so we're skipping that slide. This is hard. I don't like this, because you have to, it's work, you have to be right in front of it to make it work. Okay, so what is Indienomicon? Indienomicon is a nonprofit organization. As a nonprofit, we're able to receive money, and it waives any tax that we would have to pay when we go to buy things. As a nonprofit, that means that that's how this organization is funded, is through grants. So I've identified a lot of other opportunities for Indienomicon to make sure our prize money is going to be really big when we have the game jams. Storytellers, serious games, those are the games that like Duolingo. Maybe you play that one. It's not a game to you, but it is. Creators, game jams, gamers, educators, meetups, artists, developers, and we have 4 R's that we pay attention to. It's about relationship. It's about showing up. So thank you for being here today. Really appreciate it. R&D, research and development. Appreciate you guys really diving in. And regional spotlight and recruiting and retention. So this is our schedule for the rest of the year for our monthly meetups. In the morning, if you ever want to come here, the reason why it's called Game Dev Adventure Day is because from 10:30 to 5, Juan Rivera and his peers are always teaching you how to either learn Unity, learn Unreal, learn Godot, any of these things that you want to haptics. He's got all kinds of equipment that you guys can learn and you can play with. Get good at it. We are also doing some board games. We'll do them once a month down at OMG Labs. That's down the street from here. So we marked out everything. In December, we will not have a meetup, but because that's just really hectic. That's also when we have ITSAC and we have IAPA and a whole bunch of other things. And then our game jams. Okay, so I've had to move our one for health and the armed forces to next year because I'm looking for money and I really want to have a lot of money as prize money. The All Hallows Jam will be over at Canal's new center. Some of you guys went to it. It's the Orlando Innovation Center over there in Pine Hills. In September, it's open to the public. You guys will did you go there? Were you there too? Yeah. Okay. So that's right. You were in the N3D room. Yeah. Anyway, they have all kinds of equipment in there, and the Orlando Library, Orange County Library System, they put one on, but it's going to be in next year. We plan on having 6 game jams. The 4 that we have up here, but I have partnered Indienomicon with Google Games and Google Dev Group, and so we're going to have one in partnership with Google. And they're going to teach us how to use Google tools to build games. I'm looking for people that can come in and teach us things that you don't learn in school, so that you, as an individual, will know how to make money being a single-member game developer using AI tools. And that is where we will be going because you know our industry is burning. So I want to teach you guys all how to fish for the rest of the year. So 6 jams, alternating months, so you'll be able to go to those. So we have speaker events, and we do have 2 speakers today. So really glad about that. Where's Brandon? Where's Brandon? Okay, Brandon is one of our speakers, so we're coming up first on here, our speaker. And we have 2 game demos. We actually have somebody that reached out because of the post. He's from South Carolina. He's coming down here next month to present this game. So we have other people that are going to be coming in from out of state and within the state to come and pitch and show or demo their games. So please show up. Demo game feedback. So we will have these stations over here. You can see them over directly to your left, where there's a TV and a table. Everybody that does a game demo will have their own TV and cable. We can do up to 3. I could probably get a 4th one. But I want to make sure you guys know that when we finish with speakers and then the game demo, talk that's up here, you get to go and play the game. Give them feedback. Tell them how to make it better. Because when I demoed my game here, I had people as young as a 6-year-old wanting to play my game, which was really cool because she was super good at it. And then I had somebody who was 78 who came and played my game because that's how old the games are. Game industry is that old, so don't ever say anything about people that are older, because you know what? They play games too, they're cool. And then we have round tables. I welcome your feedback. Tell me how we can do something better. Tell me what's not working, tell me what is working. But I can tell you what's not working. We really need to figure out how to navigate an AI. That is for sure. Because you don't have to go to school anymore to be a game developer. You can do that, honestly, with the resources that are out there. Board game. Like I said, we're going to do that also down at OMG Labs, down the street on Pine. And this is our co-working. And that's Murphy. He's the guardian of the galaxy for this whole place down there. So he's the mannequin. But that, hey, somebody test that and see if that works real quick. Because I changed the QR codes in here. And it should take you to the OMG Labs website. Tell me if it does.
Yep.
Yay. Okay. We fixed that problem. So, fun fact, this was a funeral home. It was built in 1910, and it was half the size from front to the middle of this building. It has a basement, and the basement was a crematorium. It's real. For real. Yeah. If you want a tour, you have to come contact me, and I'll give you a tour of the building. You can see it. But it's very boring on the inside. It looks like a regular building. So we have all of these organizations that support Indienomicon as partners. And then this is the team, Ariane Kiki. She's always doing stuff in space. This is space season also, by the way. So all of the space events have already started. This month, they're going to be really heavy in August, October, November, December. So start looking at those. Hive Labs is up there. They're in Lake Nona. There's Jefferson and Shakira here. They're both of my volunteers. They work with me, and I depend on them greatly. And then Kunal and Matt. If you've been wondering where the Unreal meetup is, it's on sabbatical. Unreal has shut down their purse strings, so they are not providing support to the meetups or any funding for the game jams. So they also laid off the people that we were working with that were helping to give us money. But that Unreal meetup is just on pause. Okay, test this one. Tell me if this one works too. New QR codes. It should take you directly to the Indienomicon website.
I'm loving this beta test today.
I'm loving it too, believe me.
Yep, it works.
So here, you'll find the Discord server there, you'll find all kinds of things, but that website still has some work to be done. So, it's a process. It's a process. So here we are. These are all the channels where you can find us on here. And we are, as I said, live streaming this on YouTube. And Tony, he is one of our founders. He was here last month doing a presentation. Zach was here previously also. And we have Brandon. So where's Brandon? Where did Brandon go? There he is. Okay, so Brandon Chang, who is, it says co-founder, but I have you as one of the founder. Oh, okay, sorry. Why don't we have his name up here too then? What's your name?
Because it's not audio.
Well, it's okay. He could still be up there. It's not like, it doesn't mean anything.
Michael is co-founder.
What's his name?
Michael.
Michael. Nice to meet you. Yeah. I've seen you before. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to make sure that your name is up here on the post. When I go back into my LinkedIn, Facebook, so we fix it so that you're tagged in there. Anyway, this is unconventional paths in the video game industry. So for here and for the rest of the year, everything that we talk about is going to be about how we have to do things differently and how we have to adapt if we're going to survive in the game industry. So I hope to see you guys next month, September, October, and November. I am working to get anybody that needs passes to ITSAC or any of the other, I can't get them by APA, I can't, nobody gets those out. But if it's ITSAC or any of the other things, I'm gonna look to find codes so you guys can attend those things. And, yeah, Brandon, you ready? He's telling you to introduce him, right?
Hello.
Hello.
Wait,
Can I use this?
Can, thank you, Nick, for bringing that.
Very cool. I assume I'm talking into this microphone?
You are, and if you can take it off and then just wander around with it, you can.
I'd love
But
to.
this is what keeps you tethered so you're on screen. So pretty much stay as close to this camera so we can pick you up. No, it's there.
I'm on a short leash. Hello. My talk is unconventional paths in the video game industry. Thank you so much, Isabella. My name. All right.
Nice talk.
My name is Brandon, co-founder of No 3 Games. Our co-founder, Michael Owens, sitting back there. I'm not really here to talk to you about No 3 Games. I'm here to talk about like Isabella mentioned, the state of the video game industry. And I feel like I have a unique perspective because a lot of folks here kind of come from video games, learning about video games in school, kind of pursuing this. This hasn't been my journey. My journey has been very different, and I'm just going to offer some perspectives from my own personal journey that may or may not apply to you, but is useful for me to kind of share what I've learned anyways. So right now, it feels like the world used to support like these enormous creatures, and what I mean by that is like the video game industry used to be like this, like the Cretaceous era where there could be like limitless amounts of like forms of life, like giant monsters and tiny little creatures, right? It felt like the video game world was like boundless and anything could happen, right? There was bounty everywhere. But that's kind of not what it feels like today. It kind of feels like the conditions are changing. Something is different, right? What does that mean? It's not one thing. It's far too complex for me to describe what's happening. It could be some of these things, like studios are closing. Live service games are basically the only taking the lion's share of all the revenue in the industry. AI, like endless release cycles, consolidations of studios, like there are all kinds of things happening right now that make it feel like, you know, it's a hard time right now. Things are different. But like I said, I'm going to give you an interesting perspective coming into this industry from an unconventional path. I'm looking at all this change, and here are three key things that I've learned that have helped me personally to adapt to this change. So where am I going with this? We've got 3 points here. We want to be able to seek out new tools and skills. We want to apply them unconventionally. And we want to be small and nimble. And I'll get into each of these points in detail. Good. Let's focus on the first one. The skills you need aren't always the ones that you expect. I'm going to back up a little bit here and tell you about how I started. I actually started at Valencia College doing graphic design. I really didn't know what I wanted to do when I went to college, and I really liked using Photoshop. I had a pirated version of Photoshop that I loved playing around with, and I said, hey, I could make a living doing that. And that was the beginning of my career. I made a lot of print designs. I made a print poster for a font, right? This is very far out from what I'm doing today, but this is how I kind of got started. I learned Illustrator, I learned Photoshop, I learned these tools to learn how to become a graphic designer. But then, like, near the end of my education, I realized something, and what I really wanted was to make things that were interactive. I wanted more than just like a poster at the end of the day. And this is when I kind of started getting into web development. Valencia also had a related track that was web development, which is very closely related. They were in the same department. So I kind of took some of those classes, and I fell in love with that. And I decided this is what I want to do. I want to be a web designer. So I joined a digital agency. This is like one of the few pictures I could find of myself actually at this agency, called Purple Rock Scissors. I'm still wearing their swag to this day. This is my contract that I have with the tech industry. I will work for them, and they will give me t-shirts. And that's a fair trade. But doing that, coming from my background as like a graphic designer, I had to learn a lot of stuff. None of this stuff I learned in school. If anybody here knows anything about the web development world, you'll see some stuff on here from the early, like the mid 2000s or 2010s. What are we calling it now? Oh my gosh. jQuery, WordPress, Drupal, Bootstrap, Git, GSAP. These are a bunch of tools that like I didn't know about, I didn't understand, but I had to like quickly learn and adapt to. And it was rough at the beginning, but these were the tools that I needed for the thing that I wanted to do. These weren't the things that I learned. A little bit later, I moved to San Francisco, and I worked for some larger tech companies. Asana, Stripe, you may have heard of some of these. And I continued to hone my craft as a web developer. And through each of these transitions, moving to these different companies, I had to learn new tools, new processes every single time. Again, if anybody here is familiar with web development, this is a constantly shifting landscape. Change is the only constant here. But despite that, I learned a bunch of new things, right? Every time I switched companies, I had to learn new technology. I had to learn React, Contentful, Node, Tailwind, Webpack, Anime.js. Just like a smorgasbord of random words that look meaningless. And I have spent hours learning about each and every single one of these things. And here's the thing about all these tools that I've learned. Many of them are gone. They're irrelevant. They're tools that no longer matter. Nobody cares that I know how to use Bootstrap. It still occupies a part of my brain. But what mattered was learning them. Learning them anyways. Because each of these new tools help me learn and discover patterns. What were these tools solving? What were the problems that existed that they were aiming to address? How did they approach them? Each tool that I learned was not just a new thing that I knew how to do, but a new way to reason about the world in an interesting way. Some of those learnings from learning these tools was learning what code endures and what doesn't, right? Early on in my career, I read so much stuff that I look back a week later, they're this is awful, who wrote that? That guy sucks. But it was always me. And that still happens today, but it happens a little less and less. It takes a long time. These bullet points are all wrong. Breaking down problems, some of the things that seem so difficult to become easy when you split them up. A project that may take a month may feel impossible, but if you slice off a tiny piece of that you can complete in 30 minutes, it's not so bad. Prioritizing what's important, and more importantly, letting go of what's not important. I think that ties really well into recognizing problems are not code. When you have this skill set, you have a hammer, everything looks like a nail. But sometimes the real solution to problems are not code at all, or in your case, whatever skill set that you're good at. I could spend a month working on some feature, or really I could decide that like, hey, the design doesn't need this, or the solution is to design something else completely, and that problem goes away. And the final thing that I kind of learned here is that like being open to teach and being taught. If you're in an industry and you're surrounded by smart people, that is an incredible resource. Like being open for to allow the people around you to teach you unexpected things, and also like there's also value in teaching. In you're reaching out and kind of sharing what you know. You might learn something deeper about what you thought you already knew. This happened many times, and I love being on both sides of this dynamic, to be taught and to also teach. So each tool taught me about building complex projects, how to think about them. The tools themselves are just a means for that. And they come and go, Here are some of the tools that I work with today. I'm using, and these come from a variety of fields. I'm using Godot as my main engine. I know I got some Godot fans out there. Yeah. Test Designer and Cables for doing visual work. VCB Rack for modular synthesis with audio. DaVinci Resolve for doing video editing. Figma and Web for doing designs. AI, I'll just say that. It's big, it's a big topic, and it's looming here. I'm not going to get into it, but that's definitely a part of the changing industry, and not something we can ignore. It's too big of a topic for this, but I just want you to know that it is there. So to recap this first point, the skills you need are always the ones that you expect. They may not be the ones you have right now, and that's okay. Second big point. The skills that you do have today can be applied in really unexpected places. What do I mean by that? So, by 2024, which is 2 years ago, which seems impossible, what is happening? I was a senior design engineer. I really honed my craft as a web dev. Design engineer is just another term for front-end engineer, web dev, all the same thing. I was not working in games. I didn't really know anything about games. But then I started getting into game jams, and that really helped change that. I started with 2 game jams. The first one is Metronome Monkey Maker, and the second one is Bargain Bandits. I entered these jams not really with any expectation, and my first 2 games I ever made, second place and first place in these game jams, which is really awesome. It was really validating. It made me feel like, hey, maybe I could totally do this. Maybe games are like a possibility for me. So game jams applied some of the skills that I had already learned as a design engineer, as a web dev, to an unexpected place, and that was games. And I love this because games are something that I really want to do, that I cared about. And I was finding that like my ability to code, my ability to design, the ability to create experiences really adapted themselves well to making video games. Then, after doing these 2 game jams, I had a really interesting opportunity. The marketing department for Stripe, the company I was working at the time, was really looking to make a big marketing moment. They had a new feature that they wanted to talk about. And I had made a reputation as like, hey, I made some games here, and I threw my hat in there and say, hey, like, maybe I can apply games here. Can I make a game as part of this marketing opportunity? And that resulted in this game, Price Adapter. You can actually visit this right now, it's priceadapter.com. It is one of the strangest games that I have ever made. It is a game that is a piece of marketing about a financial company's new feature to convert currencies between different localized currencies. And that's such a weird brief for a game. Like, how do I make something interesting here? But it was a cool challenge. I think it ended up being really successful. Like, I made this kind of fun game where you have two products, you're trying to find out which one's cheaper, and you're going through the friction of seeing what it's like to convert between two currencies and try to get the good deal. And at the end of this, we resolve this by turning on the price adapter, and then you can just really easily tell which one is cheaper, and you just you get a really high score. You get that dopamine rush at the end. It was really successful, and it was really enjoyed. And here's a tweet by Patrick Collison, who is the founder of Stripe, some billionaire guy, who was really ecstatic about the game, because he's running a financial tech company, and here's something that's unexpected and delightful. That's talking about a product that for his company. Another short game that I made was called Bonfire Blitz. This was like an internal game played by the couple thousand people who worked at Stripe. It was just a fun little internal comms promotional thing, but I think that cemented my position now. I kind of proved that games could be successful marketing, and I ended up becoming the video game guy at a very non-video game company. It's a weird path to go down. It's very unexpected, but I made it work. And this culminated in one of the last games I would make for Stripe, Rail Rush 3. This was a game that I did for a conference that they were doing, and one of the big features they were talking about was cryptocurrency at the time. And I kind of ran with that. Like, Rails is like a big terminology used in crypto, and I really love trains. And I was like, maybe I can combine these things. Maybe I can make this analogy work. So you're this train that's it's kind of like Snake, but it's also kind of like a puzzle arcade game. And we made a physical cabinet with the fine folks at AstroPro. Shout out, Gareth back there. We got to make a physical arcade machine for Rail Rush 3. There is no Rail Rush 1 or 2, don't ask me. And here it is at the Stripe Sessions booth. They came out beautifully. Thank you again. This is a wonderful machine. What a time, right? Like, what is this? What is my career right now? I'm making arcade games for a fintech company. Video game skills, they're powerful in non-game industries. And I learned this coming from a non-game industry and then learning game skills. And what do I mean by that? Like, I worked with a marketing agency for many of these things, and they were racking their brain. We want to make a cool ad that people will engage with. And I would sit in these rooms, and they would come up with some of the worst ideas ever for video games. And as video game designers here in this room, you guys have a superpower. You are experts in engagement, right? You're getting people to care about an experience. Like, marketing people, they want to throw something at you. They want you to pay attention. But you make things that are engaging. That's incredible. Here's another example. Working? You're good? In web dev, midway through my career, it became really big, putting 3D stuff on websites. And if you're in the games industry, you're like, what's the big deal? 3D is that's easy, right? We learn about that. But I've seen this happen many times. If you enter this industry and you say hey, I work with 3D all the time, you're a wizard. You're like, whoa, that's crazy. You know how to do 3D? If you have a website and you have a rotating cube, you'd be the coolest person. But if you made a game with a rotating cube, nobody cares, right? Again, it's the things that you know in a different context can be incredibly powerful. Another thing that I've learned, playtesting is a superpower. If you're a game designer and you're playtesting, this has been one of the greatest learnings that I've ever done. Like making a thing and putting it somebody in front of somebody or watching them interact with it. I'm like, everybody should be doing this. This should be standard across the industry, like not just the game industry, but across any industry, across tech. So they have a lot to learn from video games. Again, I'm harping on this because it's true. As game designers, you guys make things that people actually care about. I have never seen anybody like go and be like, oh my god, I can't stop thinking about that Campbell's soup ad. Like I love it so much. But people definitely do that for games. You know, people can revolve their entire identity around games that they love and care about. Like we make things that people care about. That's so valuable. It can be transferable to these industries that don't have no idea how to make things that people care about. Here's a random example, or another example of taking some of the skills I've learned. We good?
Yeah, just have to turn it down a little bit.
Okay. Sorry, I can also like keep it away from my mouth.
No, you're good. Sorry.
My girlfriend Caitlin, who's in the back here, and Brandon, part of a band called Golden Flower. I'm a big supporter, and I use some of the skills that I learned in web dev and game dev at this point to make like a merch table. This is a cool 3D spinning like display. I bought the CRTV to like showcase some of the products for this band to like showcase what they have for sale, and people love it. They're like moths attracted to like a light. Like, what is that? That's so cool. Like, it's built with a game engine, and I'm building up like a CMS kind of thing in the background to help manage the content. So there are two different aspects of these two different industries that I've learned that have come together in this unexpected product. Or is it a product? I don't know what it is. It's a merch table. Is that a product? Yeah. I don't know. The inverse is also true. Skills from other industries are also really powerful when applied to games. So for example, knowing how to market a game. Like if anybody out here is like making a game right now and you're trying to get it out there, you can probably resonate, right? Like, I hate marketing. Marketing sucks. I wish I could just make a cool game. I've worked in marketing like most of my professional career. I've been doing websites, which are generally websites to help market a thing. Like that skill comes in handy when making a game, being able to talk about it. Usability makes even less engaging experiences valuable. Something we can take. I'm sure the people who make the websites for filing for taxes or doing your car insurance, they know they're not making something that people care about, that delight people. But they know that people have to get the stuff done. So like making that usable, making these tools that you have to get in and out as frictionless as possible, something we can also take into our industry. And outside inspiration. Like Elizabeth made Wingspan because she was or is, I don't know if I was, is, avid like bird watcher. And used that to inspire Wingspan, which is like a fairly popular board game. Or Lucas Pope making Papers, Please because he was inspired by traveling internationally and getting stopped by the TSA and kind of having to show his passport. And it's like, what is that like? Is there an interesting game here? So just taking things from outside of games and bringing them in can also like revitalize and give interesting outside perspectives. So again, skills you have can be applied in unexpected places. And skills from other industries can also be applied to games. The last one I have here, be small, fast, and adaptable. And more specifically, I really mean be small. Small is fast. Small is adaptable. Small has let me enter this industry with confidence. Small lets you try lots of new things. You can try tools that you kind of look at and be like, I don't know if I want to invest time in doing that. By going small, you can. You want to learn a new game engine? Do something small. You want to learn like a new narrative technique that you learned? Do it small. Small also makes it possible to do while you're doing it part-time. So the reality is right now, you may not be able to make games your full time. You still gotta eat, still gotta pay your rent. But by making it small, we can still make these things happen. We can do it on the side. We can make it possible to achieve something, to ship something while still, paying our bills, making it work. So don't make one big dream game. And let me preface this. It's not saying don't ever do this, but don't start here. This shouldn't be goal number one. Go and make your massive dragon-based MMO. Okay? Make 3 small, unexpected games. Try something different, something that you wouldn't expect. And it's not just games. So if you're looking right now, don't make one giant portfolio, right? Don't make one enormous level. Don't make one hyper detailed model. Try to make 3 smaller focus ones. Explore, do different things, and make them small. Or you're a writer, don't write a grand trilogy. Don't write Lord of the Rings. Write a couple short stories. See what works. Write one story in first person, the second person, and write another story in the fourth person, and invent that. That doesn't exist. Don't do it. The current project that I'm working on right now, the Observer Effect, this started as an Orlando game jam. This was small. This was unexpected. I came for the All Hollow game jam, right here. It's a game where you're a streamer, and you're walking through the forest, and there are ghosts that are there that only the simulated chat can see. My goes right there. This is his idea. But this was small. But by making it small, I was able to, I wasn't stuck on some other big project. I wasn't honed in on something. And it gave me the opportunity to work on this. And I made a post about it on Reddit. I polished it up a little bit. I spent another week. And I made a post. And I don't know if you, there's some foul language on here. I didn't know this. Ignore that. But if you go to /r/indie games, and you sort by top of all time, so all time popular posts, and if you look at the third one, you'll see ours right there. This was unexpected. This was really crazy to see. On Twitter, the same post got over 2 million impressions, 4,000 reposts. This one went kind of crazy. It went viral. I have another short story here while I was doing research for this game, or while I was doing research while this was going on. I went on Twitch and I went on a couple horror streams, and I watched for a little bit, and I was like, hey, I'm here, I'm just watching how you guys do things. And there was one streamer who was like, oh, that's cool, what are you doing? I said, oh, I'm making a horror game. And she said, oh, that's cool, that's cool. Anyway, all my friends are talking about this game where you can see things and the chat can't see. And I had this weird moment, I was like, yeah, that's the game that I'm working on. And they were like, oh my god, no way, that's crazy. He's here in chat, guys, come on. It was a weird moment of internet fame. But this isn't this isn't about that in particular. The core idea here is that by starting small, we know what to invest in, right? If I was working on something huge, maybe I wouldn't have discovered this. Maybe I wouldn't have ran into Mike and done this game jam, right? By doing small games, I feel like I gave myself this opportunity to stumble onto this. So, yeah, it's not done yet. We're still under wraps, and we're still working hard on it, and we're still taking that philosophy of being small. We're iterating small. We're making small features. We're testing it out. It's definitely going to be my first major commercial release. However, it's going to be far, far from my first game or my first project. If you look on my itch, I have, I think, over 10 games, right? Because each one is small. And I highly encourage you, if you can, do a game jam. Online, in person, here we have a lot of events that you can choose from to get your hands dirty and start participating. So, in summary, we can't stop change, right? There's nothing that we can do to prevent these layoffs. We can't stop technological shifts. But what we can do is be small, fast, and adaptable. And then maybe we can end up like purgatorius, small, adaptable mammals that were the true winners of the end of the Paleolithic era. Thank you. I am now opening up to questions, right? That sounds good?
Yeah, if you have any questions, I'd like you guys to come to this mic so we can hear it on YouTube over here. Except it's like impossibly hard. We have to turn it down because they're doing improv and we're too loud. Yeah. I need you guys to come here if you have questions, like in the line. That would be super helpful. Yeah, if this doesn't come off. Thank you.
Do you remember any of those really bad ideas from the marketers for video games?
You want to get into it? Yeah. So there was one game that they had released earlier, which was, I forget what it was called, but it was like a game where you would give yourself repetitive stress injury by like clicking the mouse as fast as you can. Yeah, spaghetti something. Usage-based spaghetti. And I used this as an example for like just what not to do. It was uncompelling. It didn't have like a motivation behind it. It was like, oh, what is the game? Maybe like push a button really fast, right? And maybe that would work for like 3 seconds as a WarriorWare like title, but like it didn't engage people. It wasn't a thing that people cared about. There are a lot more like Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego as a game, but it just for many reasons that I won't get into, like that really wouldn't work. Like when you just like a point and click adventure, like I guess, but like how does that tell people about? It doesn't use the medium of interactive media to really tell the story. We can't put people in the position of like feeling how hard it is to navigate a world with 2 different like currencies, right? And we should use our medium strengths, like actually have people experience that for themselves, and then see what it's like to have a tool come in and resolve that for you. So yeah, they're really bad ideas. You guys probably have, if you were in that same room, you guys probably would have like had a billion other better ideas. So. Oh, sorry. Okay, yes.
So I remember play testing your guys' game and how all out of chance, so good job on your success.
Thank you.
My question is kind of relating to like the viral posts you've gotten. Is there any like analytics or where you can kind of figure out why it kind of started exploding, like how, like why do people don't like start clicking on it?
So I can get into that. This is really rare for games. From what I have experienced, the core premise was already engaging. Like if you were to play this video, it's really not that long. It doesn't show that much. It really only shows the core idea, which is, again, your chat sees things that you can't. Your chat sees things you can't. That's 6 words, right? But like by not getting caught up in like, oh, look at our character models. Oh, look at the monster. Look at, all this cool graphic design. We kept it small and we focus on the thing that matters, this premise, and putting that way up front. Like we start with that. Within the first 3 seconds, here's the premise. And people really resonated with that. They thought it was interesting. They could imagine themselves watching their favorite streamers playing this game. Or they could imagine themselves playing it and interacting in a novel way. So just like really focusing on what it is that makes your game interesting and unique, and throwing that up front. Because just remember the last time you were scrolling on Picture Poison, TikTok, Instagram, whatever. How many did you actually set up for more than 5 seconds? Right? If you can fit your idea into those first 3 to 5 seconds, that's the best advice to do. So, answer your question?
Yeah, pretty much. Because I mean, it's a long post. It's like too long.
Can. Yeah. Exactly. Thank you.
So my question is, you mentioned doing a lot of small games, get your feet, like, in it and started. What is your ideal big game that you want to do? Oh, this, well, okay, so you're growing this initiative.
So it's a good question. I'll talk a little bit more. I actually had like another project I was kind of working on the side, and it was, I think it still has legs, but I wasn't dedicating all my time and effort into this. I was exploring the idea. I wanted to see what it would be like to make a bigger game, but that wasn't my focus. I was always like trying to do more game jams, do more smaller experiments, do other random things out there, taking the skills that I knew and putting them in unexpected places and see what comes out. And that ended up with creating what was then Livestream, which is now the Observer Effect. Really kind of showing us the way that like, okay, I've explored a ton of surface area with game design, and now I've landed on something that I feel like is working that. So I did have stuff going on at the time, but that work really paid off, and this is work that has landed.
So what did you use animate.js for?
All kinds of stuff. So if you're familiar with Stripe.com, which is Stripe's homepage, we had a couple of experiments where we did many different like animations for like homepage, and we had a really fleshed out design team for trying to describe a weird, complex topic like financial payments for businesses, right? It's an abstract topic, so we had like an oddly great group of designers who like use emotion to help convey these strange abstract ideas. Like how do you show, like what is a graphic for like a stable coin transaction? I don't really know, but animation really helped with that. And I did a lot of like side projects as well, like another project called Borderlands or digitization.wiki. I'm just name dropping these things without any context, but like other smaller projects that I worked with to like hone like animation to really sell an idea or to make something feel like a little bit more like premium on the web. And Animate.js was like one of those main toolkits we learned that really helped express that.
So it's JavaScript that helps out with the animation?
That's exactly right.
Okay, cool. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Hey.
Sorry if I'm going over some stuff that's already here in the entire talk, but I'm a little bit interested in how we come up just with the design element of some of these things. I see that when the post takes off, I would imagine that's a factor of a number of things. But correct me if I'm wrong, I'm thinking it's like oh, that's a really cool idea, just how that functions, and what your sort of process is for one, developing your game design sort of proficiencies, and how to be able to land on these ideas that you can determine, okay, this would be an interesting thing to play around with, or no, this is a little bit derivative, or what have you. But I think it's really cool to see how exactly it is we come up with these ideas where it's like, I think this hasn't been done before, and I think we can execute it in a really interesting way that would catch a lot of attention.
Yeah, that's a good question. I fall into this trap sometimes. You can't sit in a room and have a good idea. You can, but don't do it. It's the worst way to do it. Be out in the world. Oh, this is the wrong slide. I'm trying to get it this way. Yeah. Be inspired by other things. Like game jams are a great example. I keep coming back to them, but I can't recommend them enough. You go in with, here's how I approach it. I go in with zero expectations. I go in with a blank slate, blank mind. I'm just throwing myself to the wind and saying, let's see what happens. And then there's maybe like a prompt, an interesting prompt, or an interesting occurrence, or something that you saw along the way that stuck in your mind that you're able to like explore and bring into your craft. Trying to say like, how can I get like, something original? How can I get something interesting, creative, and new? That comes from just like living your life normally and being open to what stands out to you. Like moments that are that you can take from that when you sit back down. I remember going through TSA and thinking about like how that experience might be. or I remember, you know, what do you? Let's see. This for this game on the right here. Bargain Bandits. You're basically playing as a granny who has like coupons, and you're trying to get everything for free by playing on the coupons just right. It kind of plays like blackjack, but you know, I was pulling from what is that show that they had like on TLC or something where they had like extreme couponers? Yeah. And I pulled from that, right? It's an unexpected like influence for a game, but it turned out to work really, really well here. Just live your life, be open to what comes out at you, and be open to unexpected inspirations. Oh,
I have a question.
what's that?
So okay, you really have to get really close to this to make it project, right? Which of these games have you been able to be paid on? And do you see that the direction you're going, is it going to be able, this is a hard question, to provide for you?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
So these game jams games, no. But hopefully one day by doing these game jams, I'm working on my commercial project, right? That I hope, fingers crossed, does pay off. But some I did get paid for unconventionally. I had a salary when I made Price for that. Was I paid to make this game? Yeah, I think so. It was my monthly paycheck, or bi-weekly. How did I get paid? I don't know.
It's connected to the job, right?
It was connected to the job. I was paid to make this game. I was paid to make Bonfire Blitz. And for Rail Rush 3, I can kind of talk through this a little bit. This is where I had recently left Stripe. But I had worked as a contractor to make this game for Stripe. And I was paid not via salary, but as a contractor to make this game. It wasn't a direct-to-consumer title, right? I'm not trying to sell directly to consumers. And I guess that's kind of how the arcade industry works. Fred, you could probably talk to this. It's a little weird. It's a lot of B2B games. But I got paid to make Rail Rush 3 through my exploration of games and through my willingness to learn, adapt, and try new things in the industry. So I have been paid, and hopefully I get paid more in the future, enough to keep making it.
Okay, so one more question. When you had a post up there and it had, I think that's when you were working at Stripe also, and it said, hey, we want a game for this. You saw something come through the feed, and I think it was on X.
Yeah,
There, that one. Was this when you worked at Stripe, this one?
this is when I worked at Stripe, yes.
Okay, so this is a different game, or?
No, this is just the reception to Price Tag.
Okay, so they were connected.
Yeah.
All right, so then my real question is, how many different AI tools do you use now to be able to produce a game? Because you're not using the typical things that we use. So what are you using? I know you have that in your other slide. Because this is the first year we ever had 2 placeholders where it was a single member game and they won a first and a second place. And third place was a team. This is an unconventional thing to have happen. So what I'm hoping that people will be encouraged by is you may not need a team. A team is preferred because we're relational people. We should want to be with a team. But if you're wanting to be able to do something on your own and be able to get paid, I think you're serving as a really good example that it's possible.
It is. As
Yeah.
a matter of fact, last year, Orlando Game Jam, I came in second place. So it was just me.
Yeah, exactly.
This was before AI. But you were asking specifically about AI. Bonfire Blitz, these other titles here that I showed you before the era of AI, so no AI here. Rail Rush, I did use a little bit of AI to help me code. This was earlier this year. I'm so temporally challenged. I don't know when this happened. When did this happen?
Yes.
Yeah, earlier this.
Yeah, earlier this year.
March, April.
Okay, these AI tools have started to become prevalent, and it did help me in the development of this game. Most of it was still hand-coded though. There's not a lot in, like AI has never experienced this type of game before, so it doesn't have like a lot of reference material to work with. It helped me like do a lot of problem solving here. but as time goes on, we'll find that I think AI is going to be a part of how we make games. For the observer effects now, the game that I'm currently working on, I would say that it's AI is like a huge part of how I'm working and developing the game. I'm not using it to create any art. That's a dicey subject right now. I won't really get into it. It's a little bit of a spicy topic, but it seems like art is a no-no. Code, nobody cares about. So, not sure. This doesn't mean it's a make game button, right? It can be, but nobody cares about your game that you just push a button and made. People still care about the craft, the human experience. This game is still going to take a while to make, even with AI kind of helping from the development perspective. Because we're still shaping the experience. We're still doing playtesting. We're still setting a goal for what we want the experience to be. And AI is just one part of writing, implementation. I'm still an engineer. I still work with engineering people. This is we're one layer higher now. So it's an important topic right now. In efforts to make this talk maybe evergreen, I can't give you any specifics because tomorrow it may be different. I really have no idea. Just be aware, see what's out there. It's an evolving landscape. Be adaptable. See what's new. Because I don't know, maybe tomorrow you could just push a button and the game comes up. I have no clue.
So you have one more question, and then we're going to go ahead and I'll go next because I'm the next speaker.
Okay.
Okay, one more question.
All right, so what strategies do you use to get testers in, and what strategies do you do to work on balance and get started with balance?
This is something I haven't quite figured out. Right now we're in friends and family mode. We've managed to get a playtest about every 1.5 weeks, which I feel like is plenty, but is a pace that I want to keep up. Right now, it's helpful that we have word of mouth because our posts went viral. It's very easy to pitch this game to people, being like, hey, look at this cool concept. You want to try play this? But friends and family, in the year 2026, video games are no longer niche. You can't reach out to almost anybody, and they'll know somebody who loves video games, and they'll be able to come play. So sourcing right now has been in that pool, and we haven't run dry yet. But when we do, we will start reaching out to the email list that we've collected. Eventually, we'll want to have a Steam page, and then start being able to have people play this on their own. But we're still really early on. And the second part of your question, you asked about
Game balance.
Game balance. It's just watching people play. I'm gonna steal this quote and kind of mangle it because I don't remember it exactly. But generally, the idea is we're really bad at simulating what's fun. We can imagine any scenario and imagine that it's fun. I'm sure you've all had this situation where you fantasize about a game that could exist. Oh man, it would be so cool if so and so. 99% of the time, at least in my experience, that's not true. If you were to snap your fingers, I guess with AI, and then make that thing you're imagining real, and then play it, after 30 seconds, actually, this kind of sucks. So the only way to truly tell what's good and what's not is to just make it fast and put it in front of somebody and see how they react. If you made it, if you're too close to it, you can't see how people respond. Put it in front of people and just be honest with yourself. Take all the feedback, every little friction. You want people to tear it apart so you can rebuild it even better. Kids are good for that. Kids will just tell you their mind. I hate this thing. I was like, thanks. You didn't have to hurt me, but thank you. And yeah, hopefully that answered your question. Anyways, thank you so much.
Okay. I'm going to exit out of this one. So mine, you have handouts. You have 2 handouts. I'm going to go ahead and close this one down. And mine is called How to Fish. Because one of the things that I've learned about the game industry, and I feel like this has zero ability to project, is that I don't think that game developers understand customer discovery and building product market fit so that you get paid. And The reason why I say that is because I've gone through a program that UCF was a part of, and it's the National Science Foundation I-Core program. I am opening this up. If you have games that you have built and you want to see if you can get them to market, then I'm going to let you come in. There is a $3,000 grant that you get from the National Science Foundation after the 5 weeks. It's a 5-week boot camp. It's Thursdays from 8:30 in the morning until 12:30. The first and the last sessions are in person. Weeks 2, 3, and 4 are online. You have to do 50 interviews with potential customers to see if the idea you have is something that people will pay for, and if so, how much. That's what you learn from being in this program. We have a lot of PhDs that come in, and they are, honestly, some of them really are rocket scientists. They do things in space. But then we have people that have ideas that are in medical. They absolutely align with our game jams. And I'm going to tell you also, we will not have a defense or a medical game jam this year because I'm working on building grants so that we have a lot of prize money. And I want things to be something that is going to be building and becoming better. So what I covered today, and I'll do it in less time because I know we're on the clock here. I gave you handouts. So those handouts are to help you understand what I'm going to go over. So please make sure you keep them. They have links to sources where you can find money, whether it's government money, if it's for profit. There are grants that are available to start a business, whether you're a woman, so there's business. There's money specifically for women that are a part of the company. If you're international, they're there for international. And then there's also for people that have anything. If you're a veteran, if you have some kind of disability, or if you have none of those that apply, there's funding out there. And this is the year. It is running through my LinkedIn feed like crazy. And I built myself a list of over 50 grants and awards that are possible, anywhere from 1,000 to 150,000. So you can use AI to help you with those grant applications. Okay, so how to pitch. This is why I said that I think that most game developers don't know how to price probably, the customer discovery phase, and by the way, my name's Isabella, in case you don't know. So there's that. Let me put it into slideshow mode. There we go. Okay, so here, you want to build games that people want to play. What I've observed in the market is that game developers typically build games that they like, but they may not have an audience for. So the customer discovery process helps you to go, what do you need? I want to build games in cybersecurity because I've already done the research. Kids at schools click on anything, and there's problems with that because whether they're in kindergarten or if they're adult learners, they're just clicking on anything, and so that actually opens the door for problems with cybersecurity because I've been hacked in different ways. I know that it applies to, in my research, I've also seen that municipalities have problems because people are trying to hack our water system. They went, okay, that becomes another market. And there was like, this is rampant. People are hacking into it. And I went, all right. This came out of going to a game jam, to be honest. And it was the one for the armed forces and defense. And I was with Jordan Dollar. And we called ourselves Cyber Protectors. And we were there because the Defense Department, and now it's Department of War, they had a problem with cyber protection, and they needed to train their people. So now it became a simulation game. Maybe, but they were using PowerPoint. So how do we make it so it's not sim, and it's not going to be a PowerPoint? And it's the most boring PowerPoint you'd ever seen. So I saw that there was money in the government, there was money in the municipalities, and there was money in education. But it may not be the typical way. So you have to talk to them first, and that's what we learned in I-Core. National Science Foundation. And I've been hired as a contractor, and I work with UCF to create these cohorts, and they're 5 weeks long. So any questions you have, write them down. you have to talk to people. And they stress this a lot. You have to get out of the house, you have to go talk to people, you have to have one-on-one. We encourage you to go to conferences, which you're going to meet the most people there. So you want to price it based on what feels right, not what the market will pay. That's what you think it is. Thank you so much. It's like virtually nothing. You skip you may go and skip customer discovery because you think you know your audience. You do not. Everybody that goes through this program has now learned who their real customers are and who will pay for it. Because we have people who just have finished one for sustainability and environment, and this is people that want to sell to individuals that have sewers that they have at home. You know, like, anyway, it's not the typical sewer system. So they now learn where they can go and sell their product. Because they didn't think about B2B, they're thinking B2C, and that wasn't where people would be able to pay. So you want to also, it says you apply for funding before validating. You always want to see, will people pay for this before you build, before you ever build. So the I-4 framework is you discover first, you build second. So you know when we have game jams, we bring in the problem statement. It's like that. You get a problem statement and you hear people say, oh, I don't understand how we can actually get rid of trash in space, right? That came out of the game jam. And it was Ariane's kids that did that. And they had adults that wanted to be on that team. With how do you get rid of trash in space? So a 12-year-old thought of that. And so then they had to go and talk to people, find out who would pay for that. But we bring the subject matter experts into you guys to talk with you. You never have to leave. If you're going to do this on your own, you have to talk to people. So you want to listen. You don't pitch an idea. You actually have to just listen. Tell me what problems you're experiencing, because this is the one I'm doing. I've already signed up, but I can't go through the program that's at UCF. It's a conflict of interest. So I have to go do it with somewhere else. And UCF is the only I-4 program that gives a $3,000 grant. The only one. And that's because Tom has decided to build his budget around it. So I'm going to be doing it in a program where I don't get any money, but it's super valuable because I go through that program. And when I'm talking, I have to go to cybersecurity events, but I also go to education. I also know that municipalities are having problems. So now I want to see, well, how to give a problem instance. Tell me, what are you doing to secure your water system so that people cannot hack it? You begin to ask those questions, and then you listen and you write everything down that they say. And so then the third one is get out of the building. You can't do this with forms, that's not allowed. You can't do it with tweeted as an online poll, not allowed. You have to talk to humans. That's one of the books that you get. And then the fourth one is you document, you pivot, or you persist. And again, everybody that, like we had another person that's at UCF Incubator downtown, she sells to the government. She thought she had the right client, and then she turned out she didn't. And so now she's able to be more profitable because she's actually identified who she needs to talk to at which branch of the government that she didn't think about before. And part of the job is we bring mentors in to also help. And then some of them are subject matter experts, but some of them are just how to take something to market. And we ask you a lot of questions to help you and introduce you to people that you may not have known about. So that's important. Where are the patterns? Does your hypothesis hold? We'll say pieces also. Change your assumptions, not your data. You don't want to fit what you've heard. You want to really listen to what's being said. So how to ask, how to listen, what to do with what you hear. All of these are what you learn through the I-4 program. Now, I don't get paid for bringing them in. That's not what I get paid for. I get paid for actually helping people to learn. And I run those programs. Tom and David Metcalf, some of you know David Metcalf, he is also one of the instructors. And then we have other instructors there. They're all there to help you be successful. So ask, listen, and then you begin to do. What you learn changes everything about how you price, because you may think you know how you're going to invoice, you may not understand the payment cycle that you have to go through to do business with the government. It takes a long time. I've been there a year, and I've learned, there were a couple months where actually a lot of months, where it's really rough and we were not getting paid, Jeremy and I, as we should have been, but now I actually have a direct person inside of UCF, and I also, they gave me a direct person so that my I-4, those grants, can be paid out faster. So I'm really, really happy about that. And sometimes it takes a while. You launch crickets, and that's what was happening for me, even inside of UCF. I'm not throwing them under the bus, it's actually what happens. So with Discovery, you get a price based on what people will pay you for, and that you've already had similar value. You know which features will drive their willingness to pay. Features and benefits are very different. You'll learn the difference between those things. You know your genre's pricing ceiling before you build. Your monetization model fits your players' actual behavior. I'm going to post these on LinkedIn, just so you know. And I'll post it in Discord if somebody's not in there. You launch to an audience that already told you they want this. So when I was building my company, Courage to Change, I did that through I-4. And my grant got me to Portugal to go and be in something called Web Summit. And when I went to Web Summit, I met a guy with KPMG. He loved what I was doing so much, he nominated me, and I got to be in NASDAQ's program. I've rung the bell to open the stock exchange. I've been on the corner of Times Square. How many people here have done that? And I have a picture to show that I was on the corner of Times Square. So each one of these opportunities, when you really listen, connects you to something else that can be bigger. It's non-dilutive funding. So that means nobody's taking equity. All of the things that I'm sharing with you in the link is non-dilutive. No equity is taken. They're not going to ask you for money. You can get corporate grants. Now, I don't know about Epic, because honestly, Epic is not, they're not helping, but they have grants up here. Unity for Humanity, Google Play. Next month, we're going to bring Google in, the Google Dev Group, and we're going to talk about how to build with Google, so that you'll be able to see what you can do with other tools. This whole year is going to be learning other tools so you guys can fish. You're not going to be having to ask for money all the time. You're going to be able to figure this out. The Meta XR grant, the Dev Post, I follow their Discord server. They have huge game hackathons. They'll bring in Microsoft, and the cash, the money that they're putting out is crazy. So again, on the documents that I gave you are all kinds of places that you can go to find money. Dev Post, they have searchable by prize and platform and theme. Itch.io, it has money also, different hackathons. So you don't have to wait for ours. You can actually do these online, and you can participate. And they can give you the problem statements, and then you can build. And you can have a team, or you can do it by yourself. There's an Indienomicon, it's revenue share, but it's still non-dilutive. And the states and arts and cultural councils, they're often overlooked because they all will be posting some kind of an RFP. So they'll say, hey, we want to have a game that teaches people about dinosaurs because Brandon had dinosaurs up there. And I know that is how Juan Perez got a contract with Orlando Science Center. He actually went over there and he was talking with them, and they said, hey, we want to have this. And so he built the game, he made $10,000. It can become a reoccurring client. If something breaks, then you have to remember you have to build that into your contract. So, just because it breaks doesn't mean you have to keep going back and fixing it. Just make sure you build it, and then you have additional terms in your contract that says if it breaks, then you get paid for that. So it's not this ever-ending thing. And then best bet is education, simulation, and training. So LinkedIn is a grant intelligence tool right now. I am not kidding. Because once I started looking for these grants, everything in my feed has been showing up. And again, I built a list. I have over 50 that are just grants. I have pretty close to 50 of pitching opportunities for me because I'm raising investment. And you have to find the right place where you're going to fit in. And some of them, again, are for women. Some of them are going to be for people that may have different diverse backgrounds, different things. Over here, search the terms that work. LinkedIn's algorithm learns what you search for, and that's all I'm looking is money. I'm looking for money that is either grants, and it gives me a list of 1 to like 10. There was one that had 20, and I take each one of those, I feed it into Claude, I say, put this into my grant tracker and build it for me. And now I have this list like I said, it's 50, but it's getting pretty close to 100 if I put it together combined for pitching and the other, because they're all money, and that's what you want to look for. SIVER or SIVER simulation. So the good news is SIVER is Small Business Innovation Research. ICOR, UCF, National Science Foundation, let me back it up. National Science Foundation also has a SIVER grant. So because I'm a part of that program and you go through this ICOR, it can give you lineage. That means the history. And so now I'm going to apply for a SIVER grant, and because I went through this program, I go to the top of the list. Because they go, oh, you understand customer market fit. You understand customer discovery. That should be a part of your application. That means that you should be more desirable to them. NSF likes very risky things. It has to be something that somebody else is not doing. So if you are a programmer, you can do that. I use Cloud Code also we built in 3 weeks a prototype. So when I went to San Francisco to pitch, I actually had something I could show. And now I have something. It's not an MVP, but I have something that allows me to be able to get more input from others. Okay, so who to follow? Program officers at NSF, NEH, DOD, or DOW, and SIVER offices. Funded indie devs, game accelerators and incubator staff, UCF ICOR, corporate grant managers, and then what to do with it. You want to save the post. I take screenshots with my phone, and then I email it to me, and then I load all these links up into Claude, and then I've got my spreadsheet, and I go, okay, now I know who I'm going to work with. I ask Claude to go and prioritize it as, where does it do, so I can make sure that I'm following whatever those guidelines are. If you don't know anything about grants, I did. I was a grants administrator for the Nature Conservancy. I was overseeing grants at Rollins College for 6 years, 2 years with Nature Conservancy, a year with, honestly, with another group. But you can take a class and it's free and you can learn how to do it. You can also have an AI that help you to do that. I run it through a second one. Claude's really, really good. I think it's the best one. But I still take what Claude does and I'll run it through OpenAI or I'll run it through Gemini. Gemini and OpenAI have been wrong and Claude's been right more times, so I stick with that one. But I still run it through another one to be able to check it. Makes mistakes like me. So here, government contracts, higher price point. You really need to have a team. So it's very important if you're doing something by yourself, you've got to have a team. You've got to have people that you can bring in that can help support whatever it is that you're wanting to do. So the upside contracts can run from $500,000 to $5. And the SIVER that I have an appointment this next week with the guy that oversees the NSF program. He's in Georgia for the whole 7 states. And I'm going over, this is my SIVER proposal, because he can make a recommendation, and I can get into a SIVER cohort from having gone through I-4, and they come in with $400,000 as phase 1 year. That's a lot of money, and it's equity free. So, but I still have to have a team in some way or capacity. It's stable, multi-year revenue, so they're in these SIVER opportunities. There's a phase 1, a phase 2, a phase 3, and depending on which one you go in. Phase 1 could be $150,000. That sounds like a lot of money, but that's like pre-plan. And then you go to phase 2, and you're actually taking what you learned in the phase 1, and you're actually beginning to build it out. In the phase 3, you get commercialization. It's anywhere from $1.5 million to $3 million. It's a lot of money. And the government does not take equity. They do get a free license. That's important to know. And government credibility, they always want to be the first one to use your stuff, so you get a contract. So it can be a very, very good thing. Right here. The real talk procurement cycles, you will wait a while. And one of the things that came out in our I-4 class this past week, David Metcalf was talking with the group, that so you really have to be thinking about how you need to build in phases. And this is something that has never been discussed before with any of our groups. So you have pre-planning, and then you have planning, and then you have, okay, what else do we need to be looking at? And you go, what are the hardware that we might need? You get to build this out in a phase so that that $150,000 can last you, because they want you to complete this like in 4 months. $150,000 in 4 months can be good, but sometimes it might be 12 months. So you can go through these different cycles and it's been fun, and you have to make sure that you're going to be able to see, do they offer money up front? Is that a possibility? Yes, it is. It's all part of the terms. You have to know how to negotiate. So payment terms are net 30 to 90 days. So making sure that you have some cash flow there. Don't give up the day job yet. And which path fits your studio right now? There's absolutely at Game Jams, we have all types of money that we give out. Corporate grants, and then we have Sitter and Sitter that I mentioned. That's transition. If you're doing business, SPPR means you're doing business with the school, and the school will take some equity of what you're doing, and they will own your IP. So it's something to think about. And then a government contract. And SAM.gov takes the longest time to process, and that's the first thing they want you to have done. So make sure that you have that. That's how they deliver the money to your bank account. So you have to start with that. How to fish. The studio framework. You're going to discover, you're going to validate, you're going to make sure that the price is really what people will pay. You're going to match that up to the funding vehicle that you're going to use. You're going to mine for more opportunities, and then you start applying. That's your process. That's how you begin to do it. You don't just start creating one. Because every grant will ask you to do the same thing. Tell us who your leaders are. Tell us what your mission is. Tell us what it is you do. Here's an about. It flows pretty much always the same. So you want to have that as your boilerplate. So you have the same information in there, but you begin to craft the message based on what they're asking you for. You want to keep going after today. So over here, these are the partners that we're doing things with. If you guys have questions, again, I will give you the link in Discord, and I will share it. I already did on LinkedIn. But if you want to sign up for the Game Jam, the next one, and it starts on this Thursday, is for cybersecurity. So if you have an idea for cybersecurity, you can sign up 5 weeks. One after that is the medical AI. We're doing it purposely there. If you have somebody that says, hey, can you build something for us? We're a women's health center. We want to be able to have women know, gosh, when they become pregnant, what is it that they're supposed to know before they have a baby? And we want it to be a really fun game, and yet they're learning about pregnancy and what happens, all of the things that might happen in that whole time frame. You have birth and then you have post, like you help them. That could be something that's funded. So the point of that is there's 2 events that are coming up. August 26th in Lake Nona at Guidewell. We're bringing those people that have any type of a medical AI solution to a conference, a summit over there. And I'm a part of that team, and I can give out some free passes. I can also give 50% off. There's a bigger summit that's going to be at the Orlando Renaissance Hotel by SeaWorld. It's a 3-day summit, and there's a Shark Tank. And if you have a really good idea, I've gone and looked at our past medical groups that had some type of a solution. 2025 I-Corps, and then all of the ones coming through here, they're being tapped to come and pitch. And there's money that's being awarded at that event in November. And that's November 11th, 12th, and the 13th, and it's in Orlando. So all of these are groups that are helping you with things. And that's it. Now, I'll show you one more thing. I'm going to show you my LinkedIn. Hold on. Because in my LinkedIn, because I've been doing this now for a month, it shows a lot that's coming up in my feed. I see it more on my phone than I do actually here. But we'll see. So I don't even do a search. I just begin scrolling through. And I'm hoping I'm going to see something here that you'll see. It doesn't show up like an ad. This is something that's like this. It's helpful, but not necessarily complicated. Okay, sadly, because I'm trying to do this, it's not doing it. But I have some, I'm going to share some in my, if you guys follow me, you'll see it in my feed. If you see, if we're friends, you'll definitely see it, and I'll tag you, so that you'll begin to see the things that I'm seeing. And when you start clicking on the links that are on LinkedIn, you'll begin to get the same thing showing up in your feed for grants that are up there. This one looks great. Okay, that is it. Do you have any questions for me? Because I tried to do this faster because I want to get to the game demos. Anybody have questions? You have to go here if you have a question. So we can pick it up on the YouTube channel.
My name is Eric. I just have a question about iCore.
Uh-huh.
Do you have to have something built? Or
No, you can actually have a concept and you don't have to have anything built. You can come in with your concept and that's actually ideal because then you can come, I want to see if this is something that I could actually monetize. That is the perfect time to come.
Yeah, because
You
I saw
have
that you want to
something
build
that's
something that, probably for the defense.
Okay, so I would tell you, we do defense, that's the last one we're gonna do, it's in October and November. Come in now, because then whatever it is that you will be finished with, it's gonna be really helpful when you go to ITSEC or anything else. Yeah, so sign up. Next person? Yep.
So it seems like the way you sort of funnel a lot of these grants into your sort of circle and how you go about getting them through LinkedIn. Can you tell me about what it might look like to develop a LinkedIn as someone with
Oh, yeah.
no like net presence or maybe not much to show, what it would look like to just have a little bit of establishment in some of these spaces. So you
Yeah,
can be
I
like,
can
hey,
help you with that.
me, this is kind of the stuff like you do, but also just how to be able to express that to people like those multiple grants and things like that.
Yeah, I can do that. Probably not here, but I will do it with you one-on-one. So I received 3 grants. One was from the city of Orlando, that was for $5,000. I received another $5,000 grant from Papa John's, and then Papa John's is invite only because they met me and they went, oh, we like what you're doing. So then they gave that $5,000 grant. Last year they gave me another one, it was for $2,750. And then I also have applied for 3 other grants, and I signed up to work with this woman on grants because I know she's better at it than me, and I'm really good. I know that I'm really good at grants, but she's way better because she got 27 out of 28 of the grants, and that's a really big deal. So to have that many, and she's very, very good. So I'm taking whatever I'm learning from her, and it's going to be what I'm sharing here for people with the game community, for sure. So follow, if I say, here, do this, start doing it, because, I want to definitely be able to help you guys grow your concepts, your studios, and hopefully get more contacts. Yeah. And one of the things that I did, I forgot to say this, I did a pilot of how to use AI ethically and responsibly. And I ran this pilot with high school students, and in 3 days, the high school students, it was a 3-day boot camp with a 30-day challenge. They had to create their LinkedIn account, and their LinkedIn account has tripled already, and because of what they learned. They also learned that they were relying on AI way too much, and so they understand the value of that, and now they have readjusted so that they saw that critical thinking and their communication skills have really diminished quickly. So, if high school kids can do it, any of us can do it. Yeah, thank you. Next one. You have to talk into the mic. Yeah, because we can't hear you unless you talking to you. Yeah.
What would you recommend is the best way to reach out to get more people to know how to game or to physically?
You got to talk to people.
I mean, how you talk, how you get out to help more people type of friends and family.
Do you have a game already built?
No.
Okay. So are you saying that you have a concept and you want to test it and
I
see?
mean, like in general, if you have, like outside, like friends or family, or like the one close with like how you get to show people your games. Or
So, I'll tell you this. You know when you were a kid, you would get a report card and your parents would be so happy, right? Oh my God, you got all English, you're so smart.
I mean, they would be pleased.
Yeah, they were very pleased, right? Your parents go stick that on the refrigerator. How many people come into your house and see that? Whoever comes in your house, right? That's because it's there. But if your parent took it out and went to work and said, oh, look at my kid's grades at the, line in the grocery store and all of that, how many people, more people know about that kid? So talking to people is obviously huge. So you have to share it also on your social channels. So pick a social channel. Mine's LinkedIn because I want to do business with business people. So I know that there's business people on any channel that you want, but that's the one that I've gone to because I don't normally share a lot of my personal life like I see on other channels. So that's the one that I
Okay.
Just a quick question. On one of your previous slides, you had a reference to metas and like Dev Plus.
Oh, yeah, that's, yeah, let me jump in. Wait, sorry.
And you were talking about, you said, yeah, right there. So the second to the last two lines on the corporate grants, you kind of referenced both of them, and then you said they have a good Discord. I wasn't sure if you were talking about that.
Oh, no, Google. I'm talking about the, well, no. DevPost has a Discord channel. Itch.io is on there. So is Google Game. Epic has a Discord. I'm on all of these Discord
Yeah, I
channels.
mean, I guess, so I know about all of them. So you weren't talking about Meta having good opportunities. You're talking
No,
about.
they all do. They all do, yeah. So if you look for them, you'll be able to, they may not be on Discord. They should be because it's grant. But you can find them if you go and look at them. And you know what? This is a really good one. I'll go and look for it too, and then we'll share. I'll share it usually, I'll share it in the Indienomicon Discord server. And then I'll also share it on LinkedIn. Yeah. So I'll look for it because I have most of these. Anyone else? Okay, so the next person up is going to be, yeah, Will, who's going to talk about his story. You need it? And you have to be closer to the, yeah, because all I saw was your arm. Okay, I'll move it. There we go.
So, oh, it's not going to show the demo.
Oh, sorry. We have a real hard time doing that.
Okay.
You can pull it out.
That's better.
Yeah.
I'm Nick, those of you who don't already know me, and I'm going to be talking about a game I made for the 2026 Orlando Game Jam entitled Shine Bright Little Star. A little background on me. Right now I'm working as a technical designer at M3D Technologies and as a game designer at Jurassic Sunset. Formerly I worked as an associate system designer at Intrepid Studios. If anyone's heard of Ashford Creation. As a technical designer at Martin Interactive on an app called Mamoru. And then a couple years ago I graduated wholesale from the game design bachelor's program. And this year I worked as a conference associate at GDC. So background on the Game Jam. This February it was hosted right here in the Melrose Center. It was the Orlando Game Jam. It was Friday afternoon is when it started. There was a theme that was announced. The theme was collections. And then we had about 48 hours of dev time from that announcement until the games were going to be displayed at the Orlando Gaming Expo. So when I heard the theme collections, I immediately thought of two kind of inspiration games. Classic Japanese game Katamari Damacy, where you roll a ball and collect objects, and a classic browser game, Agario. Both these games have that fun snowball effect. So as you gather objects, you grow larger, so you gather even more objects, and that exponential growth is a really fun, satisfying thing that I wanted to capture. And it matched the theme collection because you're collecting as much as you possibly can. But the twist I wanted to put on it was gravity. So you play in Shine Bright Little Star as a little baby star that needs to collect stuff to grow into a big star. So as you collect stuff, your gravity grows. It creates that exponential snowball effect. So the key mechanics, absorbing debris. So as the gravity sucks things in, it increases gravity. So your gravitational pull and radius expands. And throwing objects is the other thing that you can do other than moving around. So if there's stuff that's too big for you to absorb, you can throw one of the objects in your gravitational pull towards it to break it apart in smaller pieces that you can then absorb. The game also features an atmospheric sort of space theme and a cute protagonist. So a little bit of the tech side of the game. It was made in Unreal 5.5, scripted entirely in Unreal Blueprints. The background, which you can actually see, is the background for these slides. It's just a screenshot of the game. It's from NASA. They have HDRIs available on their website. So it's an actual space. And then just a couple fun challenges from the development. Actually use a collision blocker object. So all of the debris was using simulated physics. So Unreal's built-in physics, but the player was using set position. So if you tell the player to move towards an object with simulated physics, that object goes flying. So all I did was, and I needed to keep the player to have collisions so it couldn't just go straight through stuff. So I just had something slightly larger than the player follow it that did have simulated physics, so it could dampen those collisions and stuff could hang out on the surface of the star to melt and get absorbed without getting bumped away. And then the procedurally spawned debris, I was going to place hundreds or thousands of objects by hand. The biggest challenge was getting that debris to spawn in and out. So if I have thousands of objects all running at the same time, the game would not run. So I used chunk loading. I should have just spawned them from an object pool as the player moved. But what I wanted to do initially was spawn them at editor time and then save them to the left. But I had to pivot mid-development and use chunk loading, which ended up taking like half the dev time to get that working, but it was a fun challenge. This is a screenshot of the blueprint that handles object spawning and chunk loading. It's an absolute mess. I only work like this during game jams. This is not a good example. I work with Stanley. It is.
That is not true.
It's just as many,
How he always works.
it's
I
just
have
as many
seen it.
comments as I normally do. But yeah, this rat's nest is just to give you an idea of like how much of a game that was.
You're not holding the clock.
So any game jam is going to have cuts and pivots. They're kind of what defines game jams, in my opinion. So you're never going to have enough time to do what you planned setting out. So the initial idea for the game, one of my favorite parts was the different objects you were going to absorb were going to give you different stats. So if you absorb something earthen, like an asteroid or a planetoid, it would give you that mass. So increased gravity, increased size. But if you absorb something metallic, like a satellite or a spaceship, it would give you increased speed, so you could move around a little faster. And then there were also these green crystals that increased your throw ability, the force and the cooldown of that. But I had to cut that. And I pivoted to have everything you absorb just give you gravity to reinforce that main aspect of the game. I removed a bunch of different types of debris. The process I did for making it so the debris can break apart took a lot of time to make all those different smaller meshes that can spawn when the debris breaks. So I had to go from like 20 pieces to like 6 or 7. And the player was initially planned to have more abilities. Right now you can move and throw objects. There's going to be a dash. There's going to be a solar flare that could break apart objects. There's going to be a an inertia ignore mode, so you could move around really fast and all the objects would stick to you rather than, if you go too fast, they get left behind, so just being pulled by gravity. Object spawn, this is what I talked about earlier. I had to make that pivot because the objects weren't being saved properly. And then the face was a fun last minute addition. I added that while I was setting up for the demo. And it's one of my favorite parts of the game. I had it in my head the whole time. I wanted to have the main character be a cute baby star, but I didn't know how I was really going to portray it. And then the idea struck me right at the last minute. I could just get a little illustrated face and put it right on top of the player. It's literally just a 2D sprite that is just on top of the player and the effect will. Yeah. It's not quite like that, but that would have been cute. It would have been creepy. That was something creepy. So retrospective, what went well? Winning the jam went well. I have to put that first of all. But my favorite part was actually watching the people come and enjoy the game. The Orlando Gaming Expo was open to the public. There were a bunch of people that came through, and I got to see young and old, all playing the game, having fun, especially kids. Kids got the hang of it really, really fast. And the game, when you win, it tells you how long it took you to win. And kids were playing it over and over, trying to get the best time. And they're figuring out kind of fun, optimal strategies. And that was so rewarding after making it, to see people having fun with it. That's my favorite part of making games. It was relaxing as far as game jams go. I solo dev'd, and that was my first time solo deving in a game jam. And while it's very difficult doing everything yourself, it's also a little less chaotic. You can just kind of go into flow state, just sit down and make whatever. I got to learn some new things, which was really awesome. Like the chunk loading, big challenge. I hadn't done that before, and so I researched how other games did it and learned a bunch from that. And then the Unreal Fracture feature, that's how I separated the objects into their smaller versions. I had never used that feature in Unreal before. No, it's Fracture. It might be using their chaos system, but it's at editor time. I think chaos is when you fracture things at runtime. But that was awesome, and now I have that tool in my toolkit for later. What went poorly, had to cut a lot of stuff. That comes with the territory. But I would have loved to execute on that initial idea, and maybe I will at some point. I miss working with friends. Last year I did the same game jam, and I got to work with some friends, and it was a blast. And solo deving, I didn't get to have that. And then two issues with the game. Players had a hard time detecting scale. So as you're absorbing these objects, you're getting much, much larger, but the camera's also zooming out at a commensurate rate, so that the player stays the same size on the screen. So there weren't enough objects for reference in the environment, and the camera move was a little too smooth, so people couldn't really tell how much larger they were getting. And by the end of the game, they're like 100 times larger than when you start out. You weren't really getting that. And then the collision system is just a little finicky. I used Unreal's built-in damage apply on collide, which was a little hard to predict how much damage it would apply for different types of collisions. And so when you throw objects, sometimes the object doesn't break as intended. Sometimes it breaks at the slightest touch. So it's a little buggy, but it worked out. This is supposed to be a video of gameplay, but because it's running on your laptop, I think you have to request access to it. I also uploaded it to YouTube. I can have that right now, but this is my last slide. So let me pull up that video, and then maybe we can.
Hey, look at that, you made a site for here's my screen.
What? Oh yeah, my portfolio is just my last name. I'm gonna let the where I keep my see bookmark, of course I have it. I'm gonna pull that up, and then while it plays, I can answer any questions that anyone has.
You're in mine.
It's public, so it's just a search. Yeah, back up.
No views.
I uploaded it this morning.
You said you were doing collision via match, correct? With the,
Sorry?
Sorry. You said with the, collision flexible with the long speed. This is like a match court, correct?
It's, yeah, the meshes are colliding, I think it's using complex collisions.
Okay, I was gonna ask, why didn't you use the rate of collision volume? Is that really more expensive?
This is more expensive, but I think it was kind of necessary for the game to have those slightly more complex collisions so you get, because the collisions are a majority of what's happening. So I thought it was kind of worth the expense. The game was fine with them.
You may have won, but I guess I got the last lap because now you work with me.
Yeah.
Okay, one of you.
Any other questions? No? Cool. I'll hand it off to the next person. And I'm not gonna just let this play out. If you wanna play, I'll be right over there after. Another question?
Yeah. Sorry. So are you planning on doing anything with this besides just being the game jam?
Not as of now.
And then the other question would be, now that you've had some time to think about it, in terms of the scale, I know the way they handle that. Since you don't have a good background with scale guys, I know the way they handle that, like kind of where curiosity is, you grow quite a bit bigger, and then it does a big zoom out to show, and then everything shrinks down. Would you do that again?
That's something that I actually did pivot from. Mid development, there were going to be those kind of cutoffs of like, you know, kind of like sport as well. If you're in that kind of small scale, you get enough, and then you move to kind of a different level of the game as that they kind of scale out. But I cut that.
Well, looks like that guy's got mobile games. Just try to sell it.
All right. Thank you. Another question?
So what exactly, so the things that gravitate towards, it's a star, right? The main character?
Yep.
So, like, you're going basically to like grow things or like suck things up?
Right, yeah, the object of the game is to absorb enough to grow into a massive star. Basically, like a baby star trying to grow up.
Okay, but you weren't, it wasn't growing yet, or got to that point?
Yeah, it's growing the whole time. That's exactly the issue I was describing, where it's kind of hard to tell it's growing. The camera's zooming out. So every object you absorb, you grow larger depending on the mass of that object. And so the more stuff that you suck up, the larger you get. Does that answer your question?
Like, stars, you have to hear when they absorb that? Or
Yes.
they do really?
Yeah. Where's that basket?
Oh, I thought they were just supernova stars or something. Okay. Yeah, I didn't know that as well.
It's a little arcadey. It's not super realistic.
No, man, it's a simulation.
So congrats on the win. That's big.
Thank you.
What's your plan? With no obligation, not every game has to become something, but how do you feel about it? You proud of it? You want to see it become something bigger? You're just happy with where it is?
So, to get a little real, this project was like really important for me. So it was shortly after I got laid off, or everyone got laid off from Intrepid. And it was kind of the point of me attending this jam was to knock myself out of that funk of like, you know, I had my dream job one day, the next day, you know, all 250 of the most the expo, the conversation there turned into the job I have now. So, really glad I did it.
That's so awesome. Do game jams, everybody, even if the
Game
game you don't do anything,
Do game
like it's so
jams.
important. Do it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right,
Does anyone else have any other questions for him? Because he's gonna be set up over here. Which table? That one over on the left? On the left, and you guys can play the game and give him some feedback. Does anyone else have questions? No? Okay, so I want to make sure, Jefferson, come here in a minute. Okay, I want to get a group shot, so just stay exactly where you are, and then just, like do something silly. What? Yes, because Gala was our next one, but Gala is moving to next month. Just a second. To next month, what? You have something? Can I have you go next month? Okay, there's a reason why. Yeah, because I want to make sure that, we have some time to network and some things like that. But I like to make sure that I'm also promoting you, okay? So anyway, you can go over there and go play. If you brought your game, you have a place, you can go and have them play over there too, if you brought your laptop, you can do that. And if you have ideas for what you would like to see as things that we do in the next month, September, October, November, please let me know. And please let me know what type of jams you'd like, because we have 6 we're gonna do next year. Like I told you, we're gonna be partnering with the Google Dev Group. And we also will have, they wanna do it in November. So we'll be doing one with them in November. And then we have ours that we do all Hallows, and that's gonna be down at Canal's Place, the new innovation center. So keep an eye out on those and make sure that you sign up. And if you have other ideas, whether it's transportation or climate or things of that nature, let me know. Okay, group shot. I already said the website needs to be updated, yeah. We need to do that. Okay, so group shot. All right, you can all do something kind of silly, but just in our seats.
No, I'm going to do a couple shots anyway, so not going to stop that.
All right, count us down. 3, 2, 1.
3, 2, 1.
Hello! Okay, let's do this one, Indienomicon. 3, 2, 1, Indienomicon. Okay, 1, 3, 2, 1. Indienomicon! Okay, that was good. Thank you. Someone did a good group shot. Okay.
One more. Really fast. Well, I think just one more, guys. It's fine. Just a natural one. That's it. All right.
And please feel free over at the Indienomicon, Jefferson will take pictures in front of our sign too. Get your friends together. Gallo. 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 I'm leaving this up here so they know what's coming. Okay.
Yeah, because
Maybe fresh out of high school, like college or something. You have some kind of experience
for next month, I'll do for sure. We want to do this. I don't have a contact minutes. Yeah. I have it. For now,
I
bust through the window to the land.
I saw Sham. Yeah, it's so nice.
The where?
Isn't it called? No, Alex's Underground.
Oh, you did, for the slide deck?
Yeah.
Yeah, you like it?
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, I think that was something we could do.
Yeah, if you guys ever want to do a slide deck, we knock this out. She does it really cool. And it's so fun. Yeah. And then you can slide deck on it. My favorite.
I think as a beginner, I would really.
And then for the class, maybe.
Yeah, you really liked it. It's like.
Oh, wait, you guys come here. Okay, so it's on private, but say something. You're on camera. Okay, so what made this a great Indienomicon event?
I felt great seeing so many people coming here, share how you
Talk louder.
Especially with Brenda, you talk about like the game jam, before the game jam. I mean, you're not the only one. So we learned that game jam is like a great opportunity for people that want to get into the gaming industry.
Very nice. What do you think made this great?